for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game.
Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. How you doing, everybody? It is that night. Today's Tuesday, December 19th, 353 days into the new year, just 12 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. How you doing, everybody? We got here. Tonight is our 4th anniversary special event. My co-host for the evening tonight is going to be Race Hobbs. He's going to be here at the bottom of the hour. I want to remind everybody, tomorrow night, Marshall Summers is joining the show. That is synchronicity, by the way. Marshall was booked way in advance of this weekend's Revelations with Disclosure. And he'll be with us tomorrow night. I can't wait for that conversation. It's a big show. Thursday night is another Fader night with the No More Fake Newsroom with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live, followed by open lines all night long. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. We will have the phone lines open pretty much all night tonight. Now, a little schedule of events here. We will we're going to march through a bunch of friends and past guests from the show tonight. Yes, the producers are working on things behind the scenes. It's unscripted. I have a list of who is supposed to be here. I don't know the timing of things. I'm just going to sit here and let things fall where they may. So just enjoy the night. And we'll talk about some past shows, obviously the current events that are going down and so forth. Now, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can, at JChurchRadio, simple, at JChurchRadio. The conversation goes down, hashtag F2B on Twitter. That is the sandbox. Any questions or comments during the show tonight, hashtag F2BQ. You know, simple, Fade to Black questions. How did we get here? Tonight is show number 775. 4 years ago tonight, we went on the air. And as I am starting to get things going here tonight, I've got 2 friends already that are here. One that I have to bring on right away. Another one that I'm just going to, you know what? I'm actually going to bring them on together. I'll get through all the other stuff, our sponsors and coming upcoming events a little bit later on. But right now, I want to welcome 2 of the first guests on Fade to Black. And first up, this is great that these 2 are on together. Richard Dolan is here. Richard, good evening, my friend.
Hello, Mr. Jimmy. How are you doing tonight?
You know how I'm doing. So thank you. But Richard, stay right there because standing next to you also is Jay Weidner. Jay, welcome to the program.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Now, is that crazy?
Hi, Richard.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, Jay.
Now, yeah, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
No, it's great to be on with Richard. He's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, you two are two of my favorite people. It's all warm and fuzzy all of a sudden. It's really cool. Now, check.
What makes this great is that because whenever any combination of us get together, we just have great conversations. And I am convinced the reason we get to do radio is because we actually have the coolest conversations. And I think that when we're talking privately, I know for a fact, like everyone else would love to be in on the stuff we get to talk about because it's always the most interesting stuff.
Hey, Jay, how many times have you and I had that conversation right there that Richard just referenced?
Many, many times. I've had the same with Richard. So, I mean, I wish a lot of this stuff could get out because it would blow everybody's minds.
Now, a couple of things really quick. With the two of you, Richard and the both of you, now check this out. Actually, Jay was first. Jay did episode number 42 with me on March 30th, 2014. A week later, Richard Dolan and I did a live event here in the Valley, live on Faded Black. Now, so you two are a week apart on this show, and now that was almost 4 years ago. Is that crazy?
You know, it's weird because when you told me that earlier, I thought for a second that could not be because I thought I'd known you for like 8 or 9 years. And then I realized that I created a policy early on that I was going to help anybody that I thought was talented in any way I could by agreeing to be on their show. And you were like one of the first people that was the recipient of that, I guess.
Well, you almost ruined my career, Jay, but thanks anyway.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I remember the first time we met on that, Jimmy, just a week after you did the show with Jay, and all I kept thinking was, who is this guy? Like, I had no idea who you were, and I really wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy the experience of being on the air with you. That's the God's honest truth. But it turned out to be a really good interview. And what's really amazing is in the nearly 4 years since that time, how life has just gone on in such a crazy way. And I just love everything that you've been doing over these past 4 years. It's just been fantastic.
You know, thank you for that, Richard. But this is really the truth. And thank you, Jay. Both of those, which I was cutting my teeth back then. Let's not. It was
quite obvious,
right? Yes, it was.
Yeah,
but this is what is nuts. To this day, that interview with Jay Weidner and that interview with you, Richard, as long ago as those were, it still are the most commented on shows that Faded Black has ever done.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah. And Jay and I, well, you know what? The three of us, Jay and I, every time we get around each other, we're like, man, that one show, man, that Falconelli show, that was the bomb. And we really enjoyed ourselves. Richard, let me say, Jay, check this out. Talk about career ending. That night with Richard, he's walking up. Richard knows exactly what I'm about to say. He's walking up to the venue. He's just gotten off a plane. We're 15 minutes to showtime. We've got a packed house with 250 people, hot and sweaty, lights, video, the whole thing. Richard's walking up, and as he looks at me into my eyes, he walks straight into a tree and nearly knocks himself out.
It was a tree branch, and it hurt so badly. And by the time we sat down to do the interview, I had this massive egg growing on my forehead.
It's a true story. He had this lump the size. You take a golf ball, you cut it in half, and glue it to Richard's forehead. That's what he had, right?
Well, it was hysterical.
It was hysterical. So that's how Richard and I got off on the right foot, right?
Right. No doubt the CIA caused that.
Yeah, and you know what? We got through it. The interview was wonderful, and And Richard and I have been friends ever since, and it's been absolutely great.
It has. Can I just add, I want everyone to know how much I respect Jay Weidner's work. Jay is just amazing, and I love what you do, Jimmy. And the reason that we're all here tonight is because we're interested in a factual reality that is consistently denied by an elite power structure that exists on this world. And we know that we're onto various important truths that tell a different story about the kind of world that we live in. And I think one reason we like each other so much is that we recognize that we're all out here fighting for important truths. And these truths, by getting them out there, by communicating these truths to the world, make us all better people, which is what this is all really about. It's about covering important truths that are uncomfortable to the structure and making this world a better place as a result.
Jay, I did have we talked very briefly today, but certainly this show, tonight, this 4th anniversary special, this was planned a while ago. What none of us planned on were the events that went down this weekend, pushing this disclosure narrative forward at a pretty fast clip. And so here we are tonight. We can't really ignore this. All of us, this community, the both of you, have been wanting this kind of thing to happen, not only for conspiracy theory and for disclosure and for ufology, but it's a broad umbrella that covers a vast array of subjects. And this weekend was a pretty huge weekend. Jay, what's your take on it? Is this disclosure for you, or is, and the way that the mainstream media has been dealing with it? I mean, you're in the media. What do you think?
Well, I mean, whenever the New York Times prints an article, I know that it's not just to tell the news, but it's also a CYA operation. And the New York Times never wants to be caught, with a limp, what, because of their reputation. So when they know that a story is about to break, or a story is going to break in 3 months, then they will print what I call, and what Richard Nixon called, a limited hangout. And a limited hangout is just enough information to make yourself look credible, while you can also claim later, when the real information comes out, that you can point back to your articles and say, see, we told you all this. We weren't covering anything up. And I think that's what's going on right now. I think we're on the edge of some kind of huge disclosure. I don't think it's going to be as big as maybe Richard and I want, but it's going to be big. And I think the release of the Boeing vertical aircraft secret airplane today was, again, a kind of a ridiculous attempt at limited hangout. Mm-hmm. And I think that they're being forced into a corner for various reasons, and we may be on the verge of some kind of incredible revelation. I mean, it's not going to be a big thing to us three, but to the world, it's going to be big.
Well, Richard, obviously, you and Bryce Zabel, the day after disclosure. Does this feel like the day after disclosure to you? I think, what's your take?
Yeah, not yet, Jimmy. I basically agree with what Jay has just stated, in that I think this New York Times piece was forced primarily as a result of the initiative that Tom DeLonge was promoting a few months ago with the excellent team of people that he had there, including Luis Elizondo, who, Jimmy, I know you've been in communication with, and and his statements about this particular program has come out, and I think it's forced the hand of, and given an opportunity as well. I think Leslie Kane, who was one of the authors of the piece, has written very credibly on UFOs for a long time. Now, it's true, anything that comes out of the New York Times has to be questioned by those of us who understand the big picture. But what's interesting is what they stated. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for follow-up here. I mean, just in particular, the fact that they acknowledged that artifacts from what we would call UFOs have been studied via the Defense Department at Bigelow Aerospace on Defense Department money. That's an incredible statement, all within the last decade. Good grief. As well as the admission that with this government funding, they were studying individuals who have had apparent or what they believe to have been encounters with these extraordinary phenomena, UFOs and perhaps alien beings. This is part of the story. And, you know, what we call the mainstream or lamestream news media is just so incapable of following up on this. It's sad and shocking, but I guess we shouldn't be shocked that these obvious follow-up questions are just not dealt with. I mean, on top of the fact, when one of the most interesting quotations from Elizondo was just his frustration at, I'm paraphrasing here, but that, if these were Russian or Chinese craft, which no one believes, clearly no one believes this, but if they had beyond next generation technology, this country would be going out of its mind. And yet, as he stated, all he hears is nothing but crickets. In other words, why? Why is there no interest in his higher-ups for this? Well, I think the answer is quite obvious. And it is that they know full well what they are dealing with, and they know that they can't deal with it. And they don't want to stir the pot at the lower levels because, well, what's the point? So, and again, here's opportunities that we in the alternative field, as we call it, are asking, but the mainstream establishment media, I think, honestly, they're incapable of going there. And, some of us, I'm sure we're having interviews with mainstream media. I'm having a few, and I'm sure a lot of other folks in our field are. And I just really wonder, how far will they go with these questions? And my feeling is they're not going to allow us to go very far. Right
now, as we speak, Leslie Kean is on CNN right now with Don Lemon. Right now. And James Fox, our friend James Fox, was on earlier today on CNN. Tomorrow, it's Tucker Carlson and Fox. And now with all of this, let me throw this over to Jay really quick. Also, Richard has got to get up in like 3 hours to catch a flight. And so, Richard, you can bail out at any time. I know that you've got to get some sleep and get up in the air. But thank you for taking the time tonight to share this moment with us. But let me throw this over to Jay. It's not just the New York Times. It's Time Magazine. Today it was Popular Mechanics and also Nat Geo today. And it's the BBC. It's RT. It's all of the television media. It's all of the print media. It's all of the internet media. It's not just one. So they've all done their share of vetting on this, and they waited for somebody else to jump before they, but now everybody's on board. But this is what is interesting. No reaction out of the Vatican, no worldwide upheaval. I think that most expected this day to happen, and I don't think the shock is really there yet, or it hasn't soaked in. Why do you think there isn't more of a reaction to this, Jay?
That's a really good question. I think they're hedging their bets, and I think because they already know, as Richard knows, that they already know the real truth about the ET presence, and so they're keeping quiet because this is the moment that this idea is about to take, hold of us, and they've been, pounding the ground with movies and Hollywood and TV shows to get us ready for this. And Tom DeLonge has come along and really helped. Mm-hmm. And I think Gaia also has helped pave the way. And I think that they're kind of realize that they can't escape the reality that everybody is becoming nonchalant about anti-gravity machines and free energy and alien and presence on Earth, and I think that they're beginning, just by attrition, they're beginning to lose the war, and I think it's a great thing. And I think that there was, I believe, as a lot of people do, that there is a war between what I call the Alliance and the Cabal, and the Alliance is a loose affiliation of military and intel and media people who know the truth, and the Cabal is, of course, we know who they are, and the Cabal never really anticipated that there would be the group dynamic within the Alliance, because even though the Alliance was a disparate group of people made up of, who knows, anarchists, conservatives, military people, like I said, and all the rest, that they would actually have the wherewithal to actually create a rebellion that would create an aura of disclosure, in which I think we're now falling into. We can't fall into complacency here. We have to make sure that we keep the pressure on, because they will just as they may be doing right now, be doing a limited disclosure, which is not what we want. We want full disclosure.
Well, the both of you worked on a couple of exciting projects over the last year over at Gaia, False Flags with Richard, but also the Secret Space Program series, which was excellent.
Deep Space.
Deep Space. Now, and the talk that you guys and the revelations that you guys presented in that, not only about budgets and the Pentagon and presidents and all of that, but the talk of this program going on in secret is something that causes people to back up and go, nah, right? And then boom. Well, we've got one right now that the Pentagon is admitting to, a secret UFO program going on in the Pentagon. So don't say that this stuff doesn't go on, because it does. Do you guys feel vindicated in a strange way?
I think anyone who's been working in the UFO field for any period of time will feel some proud sense of vindication. I really do believe that. As Jay has said, it's New York Times, and there's always their own motivations. But the fact is that valid information did come out, true information did come out, and it's funny. The Times piece quoted the hardcore debunking skeptic James Oberg as if to throw as much cold water on their own revelations as possible. But it's very obvious that the skeptics are on the defensive with this one, and that people who have been arguing for the reality of UFOs have some fresh information. I've felt for a while that there hasn't been a really good breakthrough in the recent media as far as UFOs for quite some time. I mean, there have been sightings and various kinds of news, but nothing that's been very positive or helpful. And I think this is helpful. I think it reminds us that this is a real phenomenon. It is serious, and indeed, it has had serious government attention for quite some time. No matter how much they try to minimize it now, it's quite obvious that this is a real phenomenon. And now it begs the question, if it's not Russian or Chinese, and yet these are high-speed, beyond next-generation technology, why did the Pentagon feel that this wasn't important enough to warrant further investigation?
Well, and more importantly, yes, but more importantly, why release the video? Because now, we have the provenance, we have that authentication of it, but the skeptics who would normally say, well, you know what, show us some video. Well, they got that too, right? That video is a very, very hard thing to explain away. You just can't do it. Well,
skepticism is like a religion, and the very strong skeptics, if you really analyze their language and their manners, they very much act like religious zealots. They might accuse believers of being the zealots, but they really are the zealots, and they are defending the establishment, the church of the establishment, we might say. And their manners and tactics are those not of argumentation, but of propaganda. So they'll do anything not to lose their argument. They'll deny, they'll discredit, they'll change subjects, they'll smear. But when you look at the responses of the really hardcore debunkers, that's what you're going to find.
Now, really quick, Richard, listen to this. Jay has been working on the Nazca mummies for a while now, as we're all aware of. I have Jay here. I will not let Jay go without going, okay, Weidner, what you got? What's the big news? What can we expect, and when?
Well, it can only happen when the science allows, so I'm not going to hurry that on. I want the 4 different teams that are studying the DNA to come back with their results in the time fashion that they deem normal, so I'm not going to hurry that. But I can tell you that the latest findings are that the Nazca mummy is definitely not human, but it's definitely more human than a chimpanzee, which is our closest relative. So I don't know what it is yet. We're getting closer and closer to finding, but it is definitely not a human. And that I can say for sure. And it's definitely not a monkey. So I can say that for sure. And I think that means a lot. And I think when you understand that the chasm, even though the DNA may only be like 0.6 or maybe more than that apart, and doesn't seem like that's much. But when you get into the upper areas of DNA, the finer areas, the upper 3%, the chasms between 95% and 96% are huge.
Right.
And any number of species can fall into those chasms. And I think that, what we have here is a humanoid species that appeared to occupy South America, or possibly the former jungles that were in the Atacama Desert that exist now. And this is a remnant of a species that lived there. Is it alien? I don't know. Is it humanoid? Yeah, it's humanoid. Is it a human? No, it's not. Is it a monkey? No, it's not.
Coming on the news of this weekend, and then you and Guy turn around and flip this one out, it makes it easier for you to release this information, by the way. It does.
I'm really appreciative of that. And I don't want to undermine, by the way, the New York Times article. I agree with Richard. Even though it's a limited hangout, the limited hangout is awesome.
Right.
I mean, there's so much for us to go through and see and, reveal.
Pretty exciting times we're in, my friends, both of you. And I seriously, I want to thank both of you for coming on. And I'll just let everybody know Richard will be on Coast to Coast with me, not this week, next week, right, Richard? Yeah.
Yes, I believe December 29th. Is that right, Jimmy?
Yeah, sounds right. You know what? Thank you, Tom DeLong. I can't even think anymore, right? I haven't slept. But yeah, I think it is. I think it's Friday the 29th. And Richard, safe travels tomorrow.
Thank you very much. And Jay, it was a pleasure. Jimmy, thank you very much, as always.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Richard Dolan, everybody. He's got to go get on a plane now. Jay Weidner, your friendship and your insight and your knowledge and what you do for the Fadernauts and this family here is second to none. And again, thank you. These are exciting times, man. And
they are.
I don't know how we're going to top this weekend, but I have the feeling you're about to do it in a couple of weeks.
Okay, man. Thanks so much for being on the air. 4 years. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jay. Go and be safe, okay? We'll talk over the weekend. Thank you so much. Jay Weidner. Okay, now, Jay Weidner, Richard Dolan, thank you so much. I am going to take a quick break. When I come back, I will be joined by the one and only Race Hobbs. And he'll be with us. This is our 4th anniversary special. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Big news. The Nazca Mummies, man. 2 weeks. Jay says they are not human. Richard Dolan coming in strong. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Exciting times. I'll be right back with Race Hobbs. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that. Life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight, you feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at KGRAradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. KGRAradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is our 4th anniversary special event tonight, everybody. And this segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Life Change Tea. That's right, Life Change Tea products. I take them every single day, as does everybody here, Team Fade to Black. Just click on the Life Change Tea banners over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Use the promo code FADER. You'll get yourself free shipping. It's our 4th anniversary. I don't know how we got here, but we did. And for the rest of the show tonight, I'm joined by the one and only Race Hobbs. Race, good evening, man. Special night.
Man, this is a huge milestone, Jimmy. 4 years, my brother. Man, it just seems like yesterday.
I know it does, doesn't it? It really does. It's all a blur. 775 shows. So I went back today, Race, and just looked at the guest list, right? And I'm going backwards. And I got about 300 shows back, just looking. And this is what I'm embarrassed about. As great as those shows were, I forgot about half of them. Right? I'm looking, I'm like, oh, that show, and I'm just going backwards. And now it's a good place to be, I guess.
Well, yeah. Ethically, morally, and honestly, the fact that you feel that way and that, you have forgotten about a lot of those shows, it just really adds to the validity of the collection of information that you have delivered to the world. And it's no easy task. You and Rita deserve to be on all of our shoulders tonight. It's a huge volume of work, and you are not showing any signs of slowing down. So it's exciting.
I know. And I thought, let's go back to like show 250, right? Let's go back to show 250. And I had thought back then in that area, I was like, okay, what do we do? You know, I don't want this thing to slow down. We've got to continue and raise the bar and break stories and find the guest. And it just amazes me that week in, week out, that Rita is able to, everybody here, it's not just Rita, but and put these shows together, and the next thing you know, another week has gone by.
And there is so much excitement that goes into the labor of booking guests, and especially at times when the subject is hot and things are trending and rolling, and it really gets exciting. And then it's sort of like these waves we see coming in, and some of them can be pretty formidable. You live out there on the coast, you know what I'm talking about. I've lived out there before, almost got killed by one of those Southern California waves when I was 18.
Right.
Some of these waves that come in can be pretty huge, and to take it in, get over it, and see it from the backside is really a big part of the momentum that can keep people like Jimmy and Rita going. Everybody, I want to say, really, first off, before we get rolling here, you've brought me in and been so kind to bring me in as a co-host on such a milestone night. I'm so honored, but I've got to give a shout out to the Fadernauts. They're all so kind. I'm on TweetDeck, and Allison and and everybody, Kat, everybody, thanks so much for the kind words, and for being such big fans of Jimmy and KGRA, and big supporters. Everybody, I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome still to this day.
And looking back, here we are, it's 4 years, but looking back, the way that things happened. Now, Richard just said, we've been waiting for something big like this in ufology for so long, and now we have something really to build on. There's a lot of information here to build on. And I look back at the last 4 years, and I think about everything that has gone down. There has been a lot of crazy, pretty big events. I can start off with the Malibu underwater base, and you go back and you think about what that caused, but there's all of these little things, some of them not so good. The Roswell slides, right? Big event though. That was a really, really big. And then we have, Corey Good. Corey Good coming along. And I can continue if I just sat here and pick things apart, that it has been a crazy, crazy time for the UFO community. And it has grown. When I say UFO, I really mean the conspiracy community, because there's everything else that goes on around us. Yeah, truther. And it's all going on. And so anyway, and I started to just take inventory of a few things. And I was thinking of the mainstream media today and what has been going on. James Fox was on CNN today, right? How great, how cool is that? And we've all wanted things to break in, to get recognition into the mainstream. And that's part of being valid. You want it's one thing to have the UFO community and listen to us, but it's another thing when things take hold on the outside. And I was sitting there thinking, and I went back to the Malibu base, and I completely forgot about ABC News and them coming out and interviewing me, and how that went completely viral and nuts. And for me to forget about that, it's because so much has happened since then. I forgot about that, and that was a really big news story. And I disagree with Richard. If we go back and just look at the things that have happened, the sightings and the night watches and the video and the things that have been going on at East Eddy Ranch or out in Joshua Tree. Let's not forget Alex Mistretta and his, you remember the submarine photographs that surfaced?
Alex, I just love him, man. Right. He does such good work. He's such a good guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's been one crazy event after another, and it's been a lot of fun, culminating with this amazing weekend with the news. Now, I haven't spoken. I'm just going to let everybody know. You guys think that Race and I talk every day. We used to. Now we have much busier lives, and we don't get a chance to talk as much anymore. But what did you think about this, with Tom DeLonge, and as this started to break on Saturday, today it hasn't slowed down. It's probably out there in the mainstream media more today than it was on Saturday. What do you think about this?
Well, this is for some of us that are, really in the inner circles of a lot of this stuff going on. We've heard bits and pieces and, been sort of, at the wall with it for, several years. And then for a lot of people, this is the first time they've ever heard of anything like this. Most of the folks listening to this show are very well versed on the truth and the validity of the government and what it's trying to figure out and has been for, 60, 70 years. But, for this to come out, it's always good, regardless of what side of the fence you are on. People are talking about the unidentified aerial phenomena on a global scale. And anytime you can get the New York Times to dig into, and lamestream media to dig into this, the truth is they do have the audience to the folks that are in the dark. So anytime we can get their attention with this stuff, it's a good time. Even when, they're rolling the X-Files music and sort of giggling about it and that sort of thing, there are still a percentage of people who, get an interest sparked out of that and come to the truther movement to look further into this. And it's a good thing, Jimmy. It's a real good thing. And, you're talking about things that took place in 2017. We did have a lot that took place. And, I don't mean to backpedal here, but, I produce Phenomenon Radio every week with Linda and John, and there have been some big gains in the Rendlesham case, which is a case that I never want to let rest.
That's right. And that's part of modern. That's exactly what I'm talking about here, Race. Yeah. It's been going on at such a rapid fire clip these last few years that it's just hard to go back and remember the things that went down with Burroughs and Rendlesham and those confirmations. It's all parts of the puzzle here. They're all starting to fit. They're all starting to fit together, man. And that with John Burroughs, I was never happier for anybody than when that news broke for him. And I think we're going to have John in here at some point tonight, right?
Oh, yeah. John confirmed with me earlier that he will be listening and he'll be calling in later. He had some things going on this evening, but he was going to carve out a few minutes. He was very happy for you. And, he's a big fan of the church.
Well, so I want to save this stuff that we're talking about for when John comes on.
Absolutely.
That was a really big deal.
But, to get back to what you were saying about, this news and the DeLonge thing, I'm going to go on the record. This is, as a matter of fact, the first time, because I don't do a lot of on-air work here lately. Going from one position to another in KGRA it's been a little more time consuming than I thought. And thank God for Bill Skywatcher, our producer in New York, who's been so gracious to hold the station and produce a lot more of these shows for me while I'm, doing operations work. But
that dude never sleeps, by the way.
Gosh, he is awesome. He's one of the greats here. He's definitely been an angel by my side. I can tell you that, and a very hard worker for all of us here at KGRA and all of you and those of you who tune in and listen to KGRA. Well, but I want to go on the record, Jimmy, and say this really quickly.
Sure.
Tom DeLonge has created a conversation, okay? And I think that this conversation is sort of a collage of many conversations that have taken place since I got involved in UFOs over 30 years ago. And in this collage, Tom has put together a very interesting compilation of facts and subjects, subsubjects of the UFO phenomenon that I think are very, very intriguing. And he brings a very interesting aspect, perspective, angle, if you will, to the UFO subject and the UFO conversation in a way that I think has gotten a lot of people, again, talking about UFOs and UAPs. So with that, he gets 5 stars. Now, Tom has taken a tremendous beating from the UFO community about, and the thing that I think is most prevalent is the money issue. I constantly and have always, even here at KGRA, been accused of, being in the UFO subject and doing what we do for money.
Mm-hmm.
And that couldn't be, that material right there is, that's late night with David Letterman type stuff, Johnny Carson type jokes. That is so hilarious that the first thing some people, their mentality is so shallow, and their knowledge of the subject and what it takes to do what we do out here is so shallow that it's just so laughable. It is tremendously laughable to think that, it's different when a lawyer reaches out to a lady and offers her $750,000 to say that the president sexually assaulted her and wants the story to come out 3 days before the election. Now, you pay someone $750,000 to come tell some story like that,
mm-hmm.
You're going to suspect that story has been embellished upon or altered or even not true, period. When you get your kids' college paid for, when you get your mortgage paid off, there's suspicion there. But when somebody is actually doing work that takes money, are they supposed to, take the money in their pocket, run to the casino, and try to, win the lotto, hit on the jackpot on the one-armed bandit down there,
mm-hmm.
and then bring all that money back in a truck and then say all of this is going to go into all of this, and this is how we're going to do it. Money doesn't grow on trees, people. I'm sorry, but you have got to get over this money thing. Now, Tom DeLonge is an entrepreneur, and he has his fingers in a lot of cookie jars, and entrepreneurs don't stop thinking, and they don't stop figuring out ways to create income streams. But I honestly don't think that Tom DeLonge is exploiting the UFO subject to make money.
He doesn't have to.
In any sense.
He doesn't have to.
No. This guy honestly has had an interest in UFOs, and it has culminated into a book idea that he created and a business around that book. And from that, his introduction to some pretty high-profile people that are, without any shadow of a doubt, involved in ufology in one way or another, in one department, in one organization, in one military organization, intelligence organization, or another. And then the next question comes, well, is Tom being toyed with? Look, there's no question. There is no question that the government is going to play with you to do the bidding they want done. There's no question about it. Everybody that he has talked to has not told him the 100% truth, the way they know it to be and the way that it really is. You can take that to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, not Bill Moore, not anybody, not Linda Moulton Howe, not anybody who has ever had contacts within the ranks of the government or the intelligence agencies within have ever been told the truth and nothing but the truth. Now, there's testimony from pilots, from military officials, from doctors, from teachers, from construction workers that are 100% factual observations and truthful to the best way that they can tell you. And those are our gold. Those are our magic and all this that keep a lot of us going when all of this stuff starts to bring you down. You can always go back to our brothers and sisters out here that are just working and doing their normal thing, and this stuff happens, and then bang, there it is. You know, you can almost see the phonies, you know, from the start. You can almost tell the ones that are full of it and the ones that aren't right from the jump street. And then you have those like Stan Romanek who have had something happen to them. Obviously, there was enough evidence to back it up to prove. And then you sort of get caught up in this wave of attention. And then the next thing you know, you've got aliens calling you on the phone and peeking in your windows and, you know, making pretty little circles in your grass and, you know, and God knows what, and people beating you up and, you know, just really bizarre stuff. And then he gets caught faking information, faking, you know, what's going on. You know, that happens as well. But with Tom DeLonge, you're not going to see that. Tom DeLonge is, I believe with all my heart, he is really passionate about what he's doing. And I don't think this is all about a dollar figure. And the problem is, and the real responsibility for everyone who can hear me now and you now, and as we talk about this in the future, is to be alert, be smart, be steadfast, and do quality research. And I'm not talking about watching YouTube and reading just articles that pop up here on the internet and that kind of thing. Do science research. When people talk about, let's just say what Tom was talking about, has talked about, terahertz radiation. You know, when Tom talks about terahertz radiation, go do research on terahertz and current modern scientific research on terahertz radiation and learn about what that is. When you talk about, photons and protons and electrons and neutrons and bismuth and magnesium and all these things, go do the research into that stuff.
Right.
Go do the real deep stuff that nobody wants to do. And if you find yourself pushing yourself in those directions, you're going to be a really well-rounded, very much more intelligent, very much more grounded researcher in all of this. Because I'm telling you, the more that I see, the more that I hear, the more we're coming back to the raw science to help explain for the people out here, outside these compartmentalized departments, the real truth starting to come into view. And when these videos are dropped, these articles in the mainstream industry are pouring out, it really ignites the conversation. And it's exciting. It really makes what we do worth it. And, to be here, to talk with people, I've had phone calls all week from cousins, uncles, relatives, and friends that saw this stuff. They know that I do this stuff, but we never talk about it. Mm-hmm. We have dinners, we play golf, we go bowling, we do stuff, but we never talk about UFOs. And all of a sudden, my phone's ringing off the wall from people that have no interest in this whatsoever. And now they're all of a sudden really interested, Jimmy. And it's really exciting.
Well, I'm gonna contradict you just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to back up. First off, Tom has got all the money in the world. He doesn't need to go and make money on something else. He can just ride off into the sunset, and his family will be fine for generations. There's that part of it. But the other part of it is when you said, he's an entrepreneur and he's out there trying to figure out ways to make more money. Well, as a businessman, the last thing you want to do is invest your money into the UFO community. That's just a bad idea because there's no money to be made. And any businessman out there would look at him and go, you know what? It's about, put this stuff into Bitcoin, right? You don't need to be doing this. And it's a bad idea. The reason why he is doing it, he's trying to recover some money. Sure, why not? He has that right. But he is doing it because of his passion. And that's what's most important. He happens to have the money to back up this passion. Point number 2, yes, it is a for-profit setup here. He is selling shares, and it is regulated. This is not donations or anything like that. You're a shareholder, you get to vote. Okay, $200, you get to vote, and you get to know where the money's being spent. But the other aspect of this, when somebody says, well, how he is going to take the technology and what they come up with and license it back to commercial production for whatever, transportation industry. It could be anything, communications industry, and take that and license the technology back, and that's where the money comes from. And if he can pull that off, you know what? That's exactly what a smart guy does. I would do it, and I'm not going to hold anything. I'm not going to hold anything against him. This isn't about a money play.
No. It's absolutely not. And this is a public thing.
It's public.
It's public out front. It's open to the public. It's all the finances are going to be, there's nothing cloak and dagger about this, about what he's doing.
And it can't be cloak and dagger. That's what I love about it.
It's something that it's a different take, really, on what people can invest in, pay attention to, follow, work with, that that could produce real fruit. And it's open into the public. Now, whatever is gleaned from this, whether it's energy, propulsion, whatever, is going to be made available to the public, however that may be, if and all it does. But I think it's something, look, you have to have something you have to be able to finance something to do it, unless you have invested to do it. Now, look, here's another example. And, I know we're probably coming up on a break, right?
Yes, we are.
All right, well, let's do that, and then on the backside of this, we'll get into this next little tidbit of subject that I wanted to bring up about billionaires that invest their money in this subject.
Yeah. Okay, I got a crystal ball. Who's going to be on with us next?
In the next hour, Linda Moulton Howe's going to be calling in. L.A. Marzulli's going to be calling in. John Burroughs, as we mentioned, is going to be calling in. Grant Cameron's going to be calling in. It's going to be a good night, Jimmy.
And there you go. Race Hobbs is sitting in the chair with me tonight, taking the pressure off. I absolutely love it. This is Fade to Black. This is our 4th anniversary special event. And, of course, we'll open up the phone lines, too, a little bit later for all the Fadernauts to come in and hang out. And who knows, maybe I'll break out a shot glass. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Race and the 4th anniversary special right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
You're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Race Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell.
You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly Ancient Life Oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black, our 4th anniversary special event. Tonight, show number 775. The segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Just use that promo code F2B blend and get 15% off of your order. Just go to the banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. It's a great Christmas gift, too, for yourself. And tonight, co-hosting with me is Race Hobbs of KGRA. Race, your voice is one that it comes from body mass, right?
Of course,
it comes from body mass. It comes from
you could call it a barrel chest if you wanted to be kind about it.
Yeah, I got one too. And
nope, you don't. You got a great voice, but you're tiny.
No, I'm talking about that barrel chest, man. Well, anyway, so but
no, I'm talking about literally the form.
Okay. That's chewing glass and chilled vodka. That's how I got it. But it also comes from years and years of radio. You've been doing this for a long time. I wanted to ask you something I've never asked before. Going back, and you look at your years in FM radio and doing rock and the things that you were doing at a very young age. You were probably 18, 19, even younger. And looking at today, what is more fun, the old school rock FM days, or is it this where you're making a change?
That's a very interesting question. You know, I've got to say, I'm going to cheat and say that both are equal in joy, in accomplishment, and in work. They both take a lot of work. In the days that I did FM radio, Jimmy, I was young, I was single, and I was really into music and loved the music, and I got to let the music do all the work. Okay, you played good music, everybody loved you. You played the requests, they took the time to call you and you played them. You talked to them, mentioned to them, give them stuff, free stuff.
Right.
You know, everybody loved you. In talk radio, it's all about a hobby, a passion, a subject that I was very interested in since I was about, 20, 21 years old. And so there is a very big reward in this truther movement that I've been blessed to be a part of. And for the most part, the work is tremendous. But when, because learning talk radio, you have to learn how to drive a show with subject matter and articulation and intelligence and laughter and comedy. And, you have to be able to lift people, engage people, entertain people. There's a lot to it. But the challenge is unreal. It's amazing. And the rewards are even more so because, look at that amazing thread. Hashtag F2B is rolling, and it is full of intelligent, grateful people, active people that are involved in what's going on. And for us, it's just amazing to see the work that we do appreciated by so many, very smart, very astute, very intelligent people. And in that, I have to say, the talk radio has the edge because I'm in it in the here and now, and I'm enjoying it. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I love them both equally, but because my age and I'm married and I have kids and grandkids and I've slowed down a lot. So, I would not fit in FM radio at all today, AOR or contemporary, none of that. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and that feels great. And I guess I would be remiss if I didn't say that when, again, and I've said this before, and you know this to be true, Jimmy, when you do what you love, it's not work. You have a job, but when you have a passion for that job and you're doing what you love, you're not working. It's not like work.
I would love to.
Very blessed. We're very lucky. We're very lucky. We're very blessed. I say lucky, and all luck is just really good preparation for opportunity when it knocks. And I think both of you and I had a certain amount in that shot glass of preparation, that we hold in our hand, but we're also surrounded by amazing, powerful people like Rita and Robin and all of our colleagues and friends around us. They are a big part of the success, any success that we could say we've had up until this point.
I would love one night if one of the FM stations here in LA would just let me go in and sit in for 4 hours so I could just say, that was Steely Dan and Black Cow. Coming up, Elton John. Oh, yeah. Man, that would be the night. Yeah, just say it to me. Just one time, Race. Just say that was Black Cow by Steely Dan. Give it to me.
That was Black Cow by Steely Dan. Coming up next, you're going to hear more from Metallica, AC/DC, and Van Halen. Don't go anywhere.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Oh, I would love to be able, just so I could, just get it out of my system and get it.
Being in a parallel one market would make it, New York, Long Island, New Jersey, and Connecticut's power station, 95.5 WPLJ, New York. Man, to be in one of those markets would be amazing, just for one show.
Yeah, years ago, I was with Rob Halford, and I've got it on tape here somewhere. I've got a cassette of it. But we went over to KLOS on a Sunday night and went in, I forget the DJ. Anyway, so we go in to do this interview and spin records for like 3 hours. Like we were going to do, a whole segment. And I'm sitting in there, and it was fun. It was, doing this interview. But I just couldn't stop listening and watching the DJ do his thing. And coming in off of the breaks, and I just thought, man, I so want to do that. I so want to be this guy. And he was having so much fun. And then there was one thing that he did that kind of freaked me out. It kind of took the wind out of my sails. So he goes and he's got literally a stack of like 8 CDs in his hand. And up around his head were all of these CD players, and he's popping them in, right? And he's, and he pops in all these CDs, and we'll be right back. And boom, and he goes, okay, man, we got 40 minutes. I was like, what? Yeah, man, it's running on automation. So we went out back, and we're chain smoking cigarettes. We're out in the back of KLOS down there in Culver City for 40 minutes. And then we went back in, but I thought I wanted to drop needles on the records, and it took the wind out of my sails. There's so much automation that goes on these days.
Oh yeah, it's over.
Yeah. And
FM radio, the way it was when I started in '84, we were actually just converting from reel to reel to cart back then. And most of the music was played on cart, what people would know to be like an 8-track.
Right.
They were literally carts of different lengths, that played music, played commercials. It was all cart. By the time I left the station I started at in 1990, everything had gone to CD. And that's when we were really rolling. But you had a DJ in the studio at all times, day and night.
Right.
There was a DJ on every shift to answer those phones, communicate with listeners, answer information, questions about information going on with the station or whatever. And you had somebody there. Now you will hear shows that are literally recorded at the crack of dawn in the morning by a DJ, probably in his home, in a spare bedroom or in his office or studio. And he'll literally record a voice string and send it to the station, and an engineer will take that string, chop it up, and put it where it goes throughout the day for that shift. There's not even a DJ there in a lot of stations these days.
Yeah, automated voice tracking for most of the country now. It'll be some guy, like you're saying, up in Santa Clarita, and his voice is on 300-400 stations at the same time, and those people in that city don't know the difference. They think he is in Cleveland, but he's not.
That's right. I've got a friend right here in Arkansas, and he does shows in Steamboat Springs and all over the country. He's on shows every day.
Now, speaking of the Fadernauts, Kat just tweeted out, okay, billionaires who invest money in UFOs. Ahem. Y'all got sidetracked.
Yeah. Well, going back for me and Jimmy like that it can happen. And the tweet by Spaceboy talking about having a man crush on me. You guys, I'm telling you.
Oh, Spaceboy got that out? I missed it.
Yeah. Okay. He did. Yeah, it was early during the right before the break. He said something about having a man crush on me. Listen, you guys are amazing, and God gave me this voice, and I'm blessed to be able to work with it and to talk to all you amazing people. That just warms my heart. But yeah, Kat, thank you for the reminder. And to move on to billionaires with money to invest in ufology. A lot of people know of Robert Bigelow. And I'm sure a lot of you folks, when you heard me before the break, knew that's where I was going, because I don't know of any other billionaires who have invested money into ufology like he has. And a lot of that now we know wasn't his money, right? But one of the things that I gleaned from this breaking news this past week was the timeline in two parts. One, I started investigating actively with the Mutual UFO Network in 2007, and I subsequently joined them. And when I did, was exactly the time that Bass Aerospace was getting involved with MUFON in 2008,
which was referenced in the New York Times article as 2007 for this Pentagon program to have started.
Right. In the timeline, everything really matched up, because we know that Senator Reid and Robert Bigelow are very good, very tight friends. Senator Reid has gone on the record saying that Robert Bigelow actually prompted him to make this move to seek funding for this UFO project within the government. And Robert Bigelow approached MUFON with a contract to invest into the nonprofit. And 2008, they were off and rolling. MUFON created the STAR team. They staffed it. The STAR team manager was very well paid. They had dispatchers, a day dispatcher and a night dispatcher that monitored the CMS, the case management system, 24/7, and they were paid positions. And of course, a lot of people know, a lot of people don't know that within MUFON's contract with Robert Bigelow, they had so much money that they were paying MUFON monthly. And it was in the fine print of the contract with MUFON. I'm given to understand that there, and I saw this contract, a copy of it came through a confidential source many years ago. And, in that fine print, MUFON was not allowed to sock back any of this money that came in every month. They were supposed to be spending this money. And literally, they had a Star Team manager that was making more money than, a licensed pharmacist would make every month.
Right.
They were paying people exorbitant money. They were investing in video and film for TV and, on the UFOs Over Earth series. And they were flying around and filming and investigating and, paying for investigations and deployments. But they just couldn't spend it all. So, what they didn't spend went into the bank. When I thought they should be, while they had the time, I really thought that they should be buying the equipment and the technology for all of the state levels that they needed to be able to properly investigate UFOs, because all of the states, all of them are terribly, underfunded. And even the most successful ones that we know of, like, Arizona and Phoenix MUFON, one of the best ran MUFON divisions, could always use more money. But they have some of the best investigators we have, out here doing the boots on the ground work. And yet a lot of this money never made it. However, when the time came, I think that Bigelow got involved. He needed to get information, and he needed to know what everybody knew that had been doing this for so long. And that was his way of taking some of this funding, going into cahoots with MUFON, and essentially gaining access to all of MUFON's files and archives, and actively investigating. Bigelow had his own team and his own scientists, investigators deploying and investigating cases in a real-time basis. A lot of times, the MUFON investigators at the state level would respond to a report that came in, only to learn that investigators had already been there, come and gone. So what this told me was this wasn't Bigelow Aerospace involved. This was government infiltration by proxy into the mutual UFO network. And I had talked to many high-ups in MUFON over the years, and I even had one international director, at the time he was international director, he was a sitting international director, tell me that he wouldn't be surprised if the government hadn't infiltrated MUFON. And I almost fell out of my chair. Now, I'm going to say this on your airways, Jimmy, and I've never said this on the air ever before, but, when we interview people on the radio and we record these shows, everything gets recorded off the air and on the air. And this was recorded, but I've kept this locked away, and I will keep it locked away until he says, yeah, you can release this, or he passes away and then he says, he gives me permission to do it. But literally a sitting international director told me this, and this is going to cause, probably somewhat of a stir. It may not at all. It may go viral tomorrow. Who knows when, with all of this kind of stuff. But I'm just here to tell you, I knew back then that, this is what I was talking about earlier in the show. A lot of us in these inner circles, we glean these things, and we get this information and these nuggets and these crumbs that we follow. These are things that tell you the government has always been doing this. So when this stuff happens for us, it's not that big of a surprise, but it is in the respect that it generates the activity and the conversation. So also within what happened last week, I came to the realization that, here's the confirmation that I needed, knowing that Reed and Bigelow were in together. There's $22 million involved. Reed disseminated this money to some of this money to Robert Bigelow, and Robert Bigelow did the same to MUFON. And so, it's not essentially a billionaire, self-made billionaire donating his own money now. I mean, this guy basically locked up the UFO subject. He went out to foreign governments. He went all over the world and utilized this money to get as much information out of the civilian corps as he could, which he probably has, debris and samples and documents and reports and all of this stuff locked up in one of his, storage bunkers somewhere probably. But he owns it. It's his.
And we'll never know. Hey, Race.
Will we?
Race, I got to bring in our good friend, Linda Moulton Howe. Linda, good evening.
Hey, congrats on 4 seasons of Fade to Black. Way to go.
It's all because of you, Linda. Let's not, I'll admit it. It's all because of you. Linda, welcome. Welcome. This is a very special night, but listen, I want to first congratulate you and your radio program with Race, but I want to, I'm going to throw Linda under the bus in front of the audience. I want to hear her laugh. She laughs so well. Years ago, when her and I were talking, and she goes, Jimmy, tell me about this radio thing. I'm interested. I'm thinking about, I don't know. I got a lot to say. I said, Linda, you're going to be great, but it's a lot of work. I know, Jimmy. No, Linda, you don't have any idea. Well, I think I know. But here you are, Linda. Much success. The program is absolutely amazing. But I wasn't messing around, was I? It's a lot of work, isn't it?
Well, you're talking about phenomenon radio, which we're going into finish our 3rd year, I think.
Right.
But I had been doing Coast to Coast with Art Bell 5 hours. That's when Coast was 5 hours. And he would call me up and say, hey, can you do 5 hours on global warming or mutilations or crop circles? So I sort of had my teeth cut on the long-form Coast-to-Coast AM from around 95 was Coast, and before that we were doing Dreamland, and before that we were doing Area 2000. Robert Bigelow started that program and asked George Knapp and me with Art Bell to do stories about UFOs, and that was back in about 1990-91. And it's so interesting to me, the circle that has come around to the Saturday, December 16th, 2017 announcement in the New York Times, coming for the first time in 70 years since World War II ended, that the Department of Defense now, the War Department then, has officially put its name behind the release of infrared video of really unidentified aerial phenomena or flying objects doing extraordinary performances in front of those gun cameras of those jets, and that there's something about this that seems like a bookend. I did in radio a long time ago with people that today are a part of, I hope, the cracking open of the cement of the last 70 years of policies of denial and policies essentially of lying allegedly to protect the national interests of this country. But I want to share with you and Race and everybody who is listening what I think is one of the truer statements that appeared in the New York Times today on December 19th, and it was a recap. Robert Bigelow, owner of Bigelow Aerospace in Las Vegas, Nevada, confirms his participation to investigate UFOs in the new organization To the Stars Academy, with retired military intelligence and scientist participants, and is quoted in the New York Times today as saying, Americans are being held back from serious research into UFOs by, this is the direct quote from Robert Bigelow, a juvenile taboo. I could not agree more. I did an Earth Files report at my earthfiles.com website this afternoon. It's up there now. A juvenile taboo. We have grown past that. And the very fact that so much of the media is having such a difficult time doing interviews with whether it is some of the military people or some of the journalists, they're having a hard time because 70 years of calculated keeping the public and the media in the dark and dumb. And so now we have this gulf that even the smartest reporters do not know how to ask questions about this subject that has been laid out in something as significant as infrared video. Of the one that I especially am interested in is the gun camera of the two U.S. Navy F/A-18F fighter jets. And as you watch, and you know that the big oblong white object that is in the parallel lines of the gun sight, this is the unidentified. And when it begins to rotate, and you hear these very skilled professional pilots, they sound astounded, and they're saying it's rotating. And one of the sentences that is not on the videotape, but that is in the explanatory material that you have to read, it says, and this is officially from the Department of Defense people who have released this, that when this UFO in the gun sights begins to rotate 100 degrees, it does not change one whit its altitude in the sky in front of the jets.
Completely stable.
Well, it would be like we sent up an airplane and said, now, pivot on your right wing without ever rising, lowering, or changing your position.
Or wobbling,
it's
nothing.
Impossible, right? Impossible.
Right.
So this is really significant, and now I guess you guys have been talking about, but the landscape that I'm really interested in, and hopefully we'll be exploring this Thursday on Phenomena Radio, John Burroughs, me, and some guests, is this landscape. Are we truly on the opening of truth and facts, and that in those truth and facts is this, I guess I'm going to say, I think it is a hard and fast rule when it comes to this phenomena, that there can be things that are negative, there can be things that are positive, and that the bottom line is both are in existence, and that the confusion to people in the military, in the government, human abductees, and on is, are we dealing with an ally that will always be our ally, or is this such a mixed bag? Is this like a chess game of many layers in which we are just beginning to tread out onto one layer, and that it will be, if it took 70 years of policies of denial to get finally to this point in the 21st century, how much longer will it be before they're really talking to us straight about what they know? They already have lots of information about advanced intelligence.
Exactly. Let me jump in, and I do have to take a break, so if we run out of time, Linda, thank you so much. And your friendship,
God bless you.
Your friendship is so special, and KGRA and everything else. But I spoke to Tom DeLong yesterday at length, and I'm going to share one of the things that he said to me. And he said this. I said, well, how are you feeling? He goes, man, it's been nuts. I haven't slept. I'm so excited, but I'm happy to finally get this first part off my chest and get this out there for everybody. He said, but Jimmy, wait till you see the next round that is about to happen. Now, judging on what happened this weekend, right? That statement scared the crap out of me. Now, so everybody just be patient. There's some things that are about to happen, Linda, that hopefully it'll start to answer the question that you just said. Yeah. What is next? I can assure you that it's going to be bigger, better, faster, and meaner than this last round this weekend. I got to head to a commercial break, everybody. Linda, thank you so much. John Burroughs is up next, your partner, and we'll see everybody on Thursday on Phenomenon. Thank you so much, Linda.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
You got it. Linda.
Same to you, Linda.
Okay, Ray.
Linda Moulton Howe. Okay, coming up next. Man, it's so cool to have her stop by just like that. Thank you so much, Linda. Coming up next, John Burroughs co-hosting with me tonight. The one and only Race Hobbs. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black, our 4th anniversary special. This is quite the event tonight. Thank you to this audience. You guys are the absolute very best, and this segment is proudly brought to you by New Pharma, GNU Pharma. Just click on the banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com and learn about the science behind New Pharma. The promo code, simple, F2B. 33% off of your order. Check out the Foundation Drops. That's what I take every single day. Sitting in with me tonight is Race Hobbs, co-chairing, taking off the pressure. Thank you so much, Race. And we are joined by, you know what? I've got to say this. John Burroughs, you are somebody that I admire so much, and you're so respected, but, man, you're a friend. And you're also a tall drink of water. Welcome back to Fade to Black, man. How are you? Oh, John, are you there? Oh, no. He's here.
Did he sneak off to go get a tall drink of water?
Yeah, he probably did. Burroughs. Burroughs. Okay, you know what? Race, you got to love live radio. Okay, so I'm going to do it like this. I'm just going to reset and force him to pick up. But, we brought up, John, are you there? Burroughs.
Yes.
Out there you are. You can't do that on my 4th anniversary special.
Sorry, Jimmy. I've got a piece of equipment problem. Give me that 2 seconds.
Okay. A piece of equipment program. Problem. A piece of equipment program. Problem. Okay.
My one headphones were working great while I was listening to you, but all of a sudden when you I called in, they went bad on me. So had to switch headphones. I apologize. Hey, congratulations on 4 years.
Yeah, thank you, John. And I'm serious. Your friendship over the years. The first, going back 20 years ago, and the first time that the Halt tapes had hit right on the internet, and it was so hard to get audio back then. Remember that, trying to get downloads, and I found this crazy website, somewhere that had it, and I dived into Rendlesham and learned all about you and the team to roll around 20, 25 years later. And to call you a friend and a partner, a broadcast partner with KGRA, it's just such an honor. And so you're here on my 4th anniversary. The honor is all mine. Okay, so enough of that. The bro love is over. So I wanted to ask you this, John, because of without going back and reviewing the madness over the years that you have gone through. But and you trying to push this entire thing forward, and then the news breaks this weekend, like it did in the mass media worldwide, and it has not stopped. It's more crazy today than it was on Saturday with this news. Some are calling it disclosure. How did that make you feel as the news started to break?
Well, I had insight that it was. I didn't know exactly the time, the minute and the time it would come out. It's interesting they brought it out on a Saturday and not on a Friday. But, okay, here's the thing. It's great. Okay, they're starting to educate people that don't follow it, haven't followed it much, have a skeptical eye to it. The news is starting to get involved. But as Linda said earlier, and other people have said, they don't know how to handle this yet because they don't know what to do. They were always told to make fun of it, ignore it, don't deal with it. Now all of a sudden they have to deal with it, and these guys don't know really the questions or how to handle this yet. But there's something brewing under the surface that's going to come out here in the next few days. I feel the needs is going to need to be addressed. And when the dust settles on all this and people calm back down, have their Christmas meal, and start the new year, they're going to have to ask a few serious questions, critical questions. People like you, Jimmy, because the news media themselves, they're not going to do this. They're just going to go along. Blumenthal and Leslie Kean are obviously the front to this right now as far as the New York Times, her and him, and they're going to be the ones that get the stories. They're going to leak the stories first, and it's going to be picked up on. But you have to ask the question, why now? What does this involve? Who benefits from it? There's already some things coming out right now. I got an interesting email from somebody inside Edgar Mitchell's group that said, pay attention to this because there's money involved and who's going to benefit from this. And the people that are doing it right are saying, we're not saying the information they've released isn't true. We're not saying this, we're not alone. We're not saying that the secrecy is starting to be lifted. But exactly why is it being lifted? Who's going to benefit from it? And how is this all going to play out? Some people think there's going to be, a false flag that won't really be a real threat, but we'll fabricate it ourselves. Some people think, no, there's not going to be a false flag, but the defense industry is going to benefit from this greatly. And so you got to follow the money. You got to start asking questions. And you can't be afraid to stand up and do some of this, because if all you want to do is go along and take what they're going to feed you, then there's going to be a problem, because we're no different than the skeptics then, because we're going to accept whatever we're given just because of the simple fact that, that we're happy that this is out.
Yeah, Burroughs is looking at his caller ID right now, and it says NSA, Langley, Virginia. I know. I know what's going on. And there's something else Race and I were talking about earlier about some of these, the big events, and there have been some pretty big events that have gone down in ufology. Now, certainly we can bring up Rendlesham, but for me, Rendlesham is part of it, but it's you settling with the government and the recognition about you and how things happen to you physically. That was also a vindication and validation of the bigger picture too as well. And my comment to that about that, John, is very simple. All the pieces to the puzzle are starting to fit together here. And the narrative is starting to complete itself. And you are central to this.
Well, okay, maybe. Okay, I can't disagree with you totally because of who I've met, who I've been involved with. The fact that they've now admitted terahertz radiation is involved with this, and that's what helped get me my settlement. So, yeah, there's more to come. Is there more to come with Rendlesham? I believe so. I believe that as they go along, giving out some documents, some more footage and stuff, I think eventually we'll get around to Rendlesham. The thing that was interesting tonight that Salas was on CNN. Well, what are they laying out tonight? Well, okay, this technology was able to shut down our weapon systems. Now, think about this. What do they always do when they want more money and they start, expanding this? Well, China's getting ahead of us. They have better weapons now. We need more money. All I'm saying is there's more to this than meets the eye right now. And I think that we need to take a closer look at this as we go along because, Jimmy, they're not going to do this in mainstream media. Okay, they're not. They're just waking up to this. They don't know how to handle this, but they're not going to come out and ask about this. There has been a couple panels on some of the bigger shows that have said, well, wait a minute, why was this money spent and what do we got to show for it? And really all we have right now is they've admitted they had a program. There's stuff out there they can't identify and they don't know what it is. So, yes, I believe there's more stuff that's going to come out to prove there's more to this than they've already said, which is lifting some of the cover up. You asked me if he thought this disclosure. I believe confirmation started when Bigelow did his radio interview with George Knapp 3 years ago, and I think we're in the early stages of disclosure. Yes, I do.
Well, and there's okay. Now this is where I speak to you directly, brother to brother. Let's not mess around here. Rendlesham has it's a story that has the debunkers out there. Lighthouse, imagination, you guys are crazy, you guys made it all up, whatever that, story is. UFOs aren't real, they've never been proved, the government, the story goes on and on. But now, this revelation over the weekend and the fact that the mainstream media has grabbed a hold of it and it's now out and it will not go away from this day forward, it then allows you to say, hey, this really did happen, and I'm tired of hearing the reasons why. I don't want to hear about the lighthouse anymore. That's the bullet that you have in your gun now, John, that you've never had before.
Yeah, but Jimmy, that ended about 2 years ago when the government settled with me. Now, it surprised me because some of the people inside the field challenged me and said, no, you didn't. Your settlement had nothing to do with what happened to you. Well, that was what my whole settlement was based on. And it was verified by, I wish I could think of the reporter's name now. It was out of Florida. He's been into this. He's been quiet on this so far pretty much. But we had a reporter out of Florida. We sent him the documents. He read it. He wrote a report on it. It's on he did an article on it in the paper. And yeah, I did. My settlement was based on the fact that I was on duty. I went into the field, out into the forest. I was injured by this. The government accepted that, and that they're taking care of me now. And unfortunately for me, or fortunately, how you want to look at it, because I'm alive and I get to spend time with my son, I'm now neck deep in this with the government and what they're doing. As far as, they're doing some studies on people that were involved in this. That was never supposed to be made public, but now that's public. So where this goes, I don't know. It makes me a little nervous. But yes, I agree. Rendlesham was real. But here's a caveat to that, folks. you've had people say it was time travelers. You have people say Colonel Halt said it's ET. There's been no proof provided yet on exactly what it was. I don't know what it was, and I've never gone on the record saying it was. So let's just sit back and take a deep breath and see how this unfolds over the next few months or even years before they get to the point where they tell us what we're dealing with. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I do. And there is one aspect to this, whether it's ET or not, there's one part of this that I think should be looked at, and that is they could be us. Not us today, us from the future. We really need to, when we're wondering how they're getting here and folding time space and coming in from 5 billion light years or whatever these questions are being raised. But what if they're just from here? that is something else that I don't think the DOD or gun camera footage is going to answer these things. What they do know is apparently it's not the Russians, it's not the Chinese, it's not South America, it's not the French, right? It's not us. So now we have to figure out exactly what's going on.
And there is more to this. Okay, now there could be more than one faction to this. I can't argue with that, especially if you start getting into time and distortion and everything else. Okay, and terahertz radiation is a big part of this. And what people don't understand, and Race brought this up earlier when I was listening, terahertz radiation is what's going to get us to the stars. That's part of interstellar travel, okay? That is part of warp drive and Star Trek. And most people don't know that, and these reporters mainstream don't know this, and most people don't understand it right now. And Dolan did a terrible job of explaining it. But terahertz radiation is the gateway to the stars, okay? And where do we get this? How do we develop it? How are they going to use this? When are these starships going to start being built in space? When are we going to leave? Mars is nothing. Their goal is to go out into, into deep space. And that's the key to all this. And the thing that you have to understand and people need to think about is when we went to the moon, there were 3 astronauts in a capsule. We're talking about colonizing the moon, Mars. Now we're talking about defense. We're talking about, are these ships going to be escorted by fighters? What kind of ships are they going to use and everything else? This is going to be huge financially. And so you've got to look at the big picture, not just the fact that the crack has opened up a little wider today is all my point is.
And why the talk lately about terahertz radiation? In that
was all part of my settlement, Jimmy. That's when it all broke.
No,
that was exactly when it all started coming out.
And so there is that part of it. But where I'm going with it is this a technology that has been known, that is possibly being used? It may be from ET, but also here on Earth. Is this something that we have been developing and is that part of it about to come out too as well?
I would say probably yes, and I would think that you go back if you start. Now, the interesting thing was prior to my settlement, if you went on the internet and looked for terahertz, there was very little, if anything, on there. Okay, when it first was introduced to me in a classified type of document that was given to me to give to the DOD, or as far as the VA, which then the DOD got in the middle of it, there was very little on terahertz. And I tried to research this and figure this out. But right after my surgery and some stuff got leaked out, then terahertz is out there. You can start researching it. One of the things terahertz is used for is that in the airports, when you go through those scanners and they can see you naked, basically, that's terahertz radiation. But there's a lot more to this from a military standpoint. And it came back, like, for example, you talk about the nuclear bomb when it exploded. That's when they started finding out about EM pulse and everything else. So terahertz was most likely found out by accident through other types of testing they were doing and everything else. And God only knows if they discovered this somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? That they haven't admitted to yet either.
Well, because it's natural, but if there's artificial terahertz, Now we are talking about high technology. You know, if it's not from a natural source, the Earth absorbs it. You know, it's out there. But creating it artificially here and to have it affecting you, that opens up a whole nother set of, and like I said, is this a technology that is not known in commercial realms or in the public? And have we known about this for a long time?
Well, some of this is important, okay? And I know Condine's been attacked, but in Condine, they talk about UAPs. They talk about terahertz in a different way. They talk about the fact that we were exposed to UAP radiation. They seem to want to change this to UAPs, you know, and there's been all kinds of speculation why. But whatever that phenomena was that was in what we encountered out there, whether we created it, it was something else, or both, that is what has been agreed upon damaged me and injured me. And that is, if you dig deep in these papers from these physicists and stuff, this is the technology that's going to take us to the stars.
How's your health today, by the way? How are you doing?
I've been up and down. I've had some issues recently where my heart's gotten weaker. I think they've corrected it they've helped correct it with medication. They've changed my pacemaker, which was causing a problem. And now I'm having to exercise and lose some weight to strengthen the heart muscle. But other than that, I've been doing pretty well. Some of the symptoms I were having was because of that. But I think that's on the up and up. And so I can move forward, because there was a short period of time where I was concerned. So, but I think that's been all taken care of now, so I can move forward with this. Because at the end of the day, I'm excited about this, but I'm not going to jump off the deep end on this like a lot of people are. There's so much more to this that hasn't come out yet. Let's see what it is before we get too excited.
Well, and there's another part of this, too. I can imagine me, you know, having those kind of issues, you know, being 6 foot tall or somebody but you, I might heal quicker and easier. You're like 7'15". Does that affect? Does that affect the healing?
Well, it does, but the other issue is that my fracture rate's really low. My heart's only functioning about 50% of what it's supposed to.
Well, your heart has got to work, dude. You've got 10 times the amount of of things for your heart to work on than somebody like me.
He's very vertical.
He's
No, yeah, that is true too. But I really, this was an eye opener for me, because when they tell you, if you don't, they've done their part. Now it's up to me to do my part. That if I don't lose some weight and I don't strengthen the heart muscle, I could be on oxygen and have to ride around in a chair in the next few years. I'm not ready for that. So it's in my hands, and I'm gonna take care of it. And I'm excited about this, and I'm looking forward to what's next.
Now, let me ask you this before I let you go. And again, thank you so much, John, and your friendship and everything that you've done, not only for myself personally, but for KGRA and the family that we have here. Just thank you for being a part of it. But that being said, do you ever start to recall things about Rendlesham? Do you have memories that are coming back, or is it still just the same? You know what I mean? Do you have things that are locked away that happen and you remember more and more?
Well, what I can say for now is things are starting to make more sense. Things are starting to add up. Yes, there are some points, talking to some other people and putting things together, yes. But I want to be real careful, because as you're well aware with this case, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of different people involved. And if you can't back up what you say, immediately you're attacked for it. So in the future, I do plan on laying this out with facts and details. And one of the things I will be doing is, I've never released the documents showing my settlement. I will be doing that in the future, so people can see it's real. That was what happened to me at Rendlesham, was what they said, was why I was hurt. And then the other thing that I'm waiting on a little bit longer, but these FOIAs that I did to get these 18 files out, that they've only released 15 of them, are very revealing. And including, like I've said before, I have a FOIA, which is when they cut me off until I could see the files, which is hard to do, that they developed a weapon off of this technology that was what we encountered, and in the forest. they've been able to develop a weapon off of this technology. And I've kept all that back. And the British government is cooperated in the fact that they have not been willing to release any of my FOIA questions or their answers back to include some of this, what's classified and what isn't, because some of my FOIA showed some of this stuff is classified and why.
Wait. Have you spoken about this before? Is this the first time you've mentioned this?
I haven't gone into this detail before, no. I've talked about a little bit on Phenomenon to a couple of the guests. But, yes, I hold all the FOIA and the questions and the responses from the MOD on these 18 files and what they mean.
Okay, so just so I'm understanding you, and I only have 2 minutes left, and leave it up to Burroughs to drop the bomb at the end of – yeah, thanks, John. That's really cool. Is this did you just say – that there was a weapon that was developed off of the technology of the craft that appeared in Rendlesham Forest?
Well, I'm not using the word craft. Whatever we encountered, yes, they have a weapon that they've developed off of this technology. And the fact of the matter is, that's when they 86'd me as far as asking more questions. And guess where it's all buried in? It's all buried in patents, which is the defense industry itself, not the MOD. So they were able to skirt around most of this and black it out because it's patented orientated. But yes, I do have that for you.
So this weapon, not a kinetic weapon, right? It's not bullets.
No. It's the future of space defense.
Right. Man, John Burroughs bringing it big. Race, are you tripping right now?
Oh, I trip every Thursday night from 8 to 10 right here on KGRA, man. That's how it goes on that show. And John is, again, thank you so much, man, for, being so you.
I know,
you
right?
Absolutely are one of the, you were involved in sort of the modern Rendlesham UFO incident of all time, really, in my opinion. But, you have always been solid as a rock, and you don't have to be out here doing this. You could be doing this on your own behind closed doors, but yet you do it and you share so much of it with all of us. And for that, I thank you dearly from the bottom of my heart, brother. You're one of our greats.
And
well, thank you.
No, hold on. What's Linda like to co-host with, man? Give me some mud.
She's an ultimate pro.
Oh, man, no, I said give me some mud. I already
There's
knew that.
There's no mud. She's the ultimate pro. She's been doing this for how many years? She has background, her education's in this. She's the ultimate pro. I'm learning every day.
I'll give you the mud.
People don't realize how hard it is.
Listen, I'll give the mud. I'm sorry to interrupt you, John. I'll give you the mud. You better have your T's crossed and your I's dotted when the phone rings. That's all I can tell you. All I can tell you.
I don't know, man. Linda talks a lot of smack about John behind his back.
Well, yeah, probably mostly deserved.
No.
Hey, John, happy holidays, my friend, and thank you for making this such a special night, and I really mean that. And happy holidays. Go enjoy yourself, and we'll see you in 2 days on KGRA. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas, everybody. Good night.
John Bleepin Burroughs. You don't get no better than this, man. And, sitting here with Burroughs just flew a mission and dropped a bomb, just like that.
And it hit its target, didn't it?
It did. It's Faded Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, with Race Hobbs. We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com. Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. All right, our 4th anniversary special. And manning the chair with me tonight is Race Hobbs of KGRA. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Race at, I think, Race, what are you, KGRA?
That and at Race Hobbs.
Okay, you can follow at Race Hobbs, too, as well. And for everybody on the video cameras, you can see what I'm doing right here. I'm just going to toast to this audience and have a nice shot of chilled vodka.
I thought I heard some clinking, that magical clink.
I got to do this. You know why? Because we have L.A. Marzulli with us, and he always, I'm nervous when I'm around the presence of the great L.A. Marzulli. L.A., how are you, man?
I'm good. Congratulations on 4 years. That's really great.
Yeah, you just wait. When you get 4 years in the can of doing radio, L.A., you've been writing forever. You've been doing this forever. You've been making movies forever. But 4 straight years of radio, I'm going to come on your show and go, now, how do you feel, young man?
I love it. I love it. That's great. Looking forward to it.
Now, I want to say this, L.A. I think I have said this to you before, but I'm going to say it again if I'm repeating myself. But I'll never forget the first time that I saw L.A.'s name. Okay, Race, you got to be with me on this. L.A. Marzulli.
Right.
You know, and I'm thinking, man, this is my guy.
It's an earworm.
Yeah, this is my guy right here. And I started reading and watching and following L.A. I don't even know the first time he was on the show with us here. It was a long time ago, but it was such an honor. But it was his presence and the things that he was talking about were totally, well, they still are, but totally groundbreaking. And today are so valid and so strong. L.A., you've been doing this for a long time, and congratulations and thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. And congratulations to you for, allowing a platform where people like myself can come and, tell the folks what's going on.
Now, L.A., I feel like I just cut you off, and that's my fault. But I have to ask you the same question that I've been asking everybody over these last few days. Certainly, it feels like disclosure is here, right? How do you feel about this?
Well, I did 2 posts on my blog, lamarzulli.wordpress.com. I've been banging this drum forever. My latest film, or the 2 films ago, Fathom is the latest film, but the film before that was, in their own words, UFOs are real.
Right.
And I interviewed a guy by the name of Paul McGuire, who's got his own television show, and Paul just looks at the camera and states emphatically that disclosure, and I interviewed him in 2016, in the fall of 2016. He said, 2017, 2018, we are looking at soft disclosure. I mean, the fact that this is coming out of the woodwork, where people like us, the tinfoil hat brigade, and we're kooks and conspiracy theorists, all the labels that the media have put on us for 30, 40 years, depending how far back you want to go.
Right.
It's all unraveling, and what we see is that we've all known this to be a reality. And what amazes me is the laissez-faire attitude of the American people. The fact that people aren't, there's very little dialogue, there's very, very little pushback. I've had numbers on my blog that nothing to write home about. I've had a few emails from people, but no one going, oh my gosh, I don't believe this. My phone isn't ringing off the hook. And it just shows you how it really basically asleep everybody is. The fact that you got the Navy pilot, which is, that's classified information. This guy's in the cockpit. He's locked on a UFO. It's right there. He's freaked out. And they release it to the public. The Department of Defense comes on the record stating that, we've been studying UFOs. Now all of a sudden Area 51 comes loose and goes, well, Area 51 is Area 51. Everything that we've been saying literally for decades and have been ridiculed, now all of a sudden it's mainstream. And I got to tell you, what alarms me, where does it go from here?
Is it this? You know what? And think about this for a second. I'll throw this to the both of you. Is it like the success of Independence Day? You know what I mean? Is the acclamation complete, and the shock and awe of this is just not there?
Well, there is no shock and awe without the mile-wide craft. You come in with the mile-wide craft, and game over. That's it.
Right.
The entire planet changes. That's it. It's over. That's the biggest paradigm shift in all of human history when that happens. And the question is, and this is the 3-hour conversation. Where are these beings from? Who are they really? And there's only 2 paradigms: are they extraterrestrial or interdimensional?
Right.
I believe that they're interdimensional. I think there's a nefarious underpinnings to their agenda. And I've written about it and studied this thing for decades. So, I'm alarmed at what I see. But, I've written about this. I call it the coming great deception. I think we're on the cusp of it. We'll see.
And are you happy? If you know what I mean, are you happy that it has happened like it has?
Well,
what's the alternative? If it didn't happen, then we continue this fight, right? We continue this struggle. But now mainstream media has blown this out of the water.
Yeah.
So is there a happy element for you?
there's a sobering element for me. I wouldn't call it happy, but it's sobering. The fact that finally, after all these years, and they've only given us a modicum of truth here. I mean, just a little bit. They've just admitted that they're studying UFOs. On my show on KGRA today, well, what does that mean, studying UFOs? Does that mean back engineering? Does that mean looking at the craft that fell in Roswell? And I've got multiple witnesses. I mean, I know it was a real craft, nuts and bolts hardware. It was there. And I know for a fact it was shipped up to Wright Pat. I mean, I know that. So, I mean, studying UFOs, does that mean back engineering? Does that mean doing vivisection on so-called alien corpses? Does that mean looking at DNA from these entities and then injecting that DNA into humans? Does that mean that they're part of the hybrid program, which we know is real? I mean, how deep does it go? So, I mean, you get a question like that, you get a headline like that. We've been studying UFOs. What the flip does that mean?
Right.
What does that mean? And how deep does it go?
It's
really deep.
Tell me, who called who first? Did you call Paul on Saturday, or did Paul wake you up?
I'm not following you here. Paul who?
David's.
Oh.
I mean, what did you do with the news? Who did you call first?
I see what you're saying. I didn't call anybody. I went to my blog and I wrote it, and I was kind of pissed off, to be honest with you, because, we've been banging this drum forever, and you would think it would wake up the American public. You'd think it would wake up a lot of people in the Christian church, and it's crickets.
Yeah, I thought the same thing about that. I really did. The religious aspect of this has been strangely silent.
It always is. And this is why the church is... There's a prophecy which talks about the latter church in the latter days. It's a prophecy which talks about the Laodicean church.
Right.
And that church is neither hot or cold, it's lukewarm. It's not on fire, and it's exactly what the church is today. It's kind of like, I'm not going to do it. And that's what the church is. So, I mean, I've had a couple of calls, a couple of emails from pastors, two in the last 2 days. That's it, just two. You would think that my phone would be ringing off the hook. You would think that locally people would be going, oh my gosh, what's going on here? I mean, it's like not a thing. And it just absolutely amazes me how anesthetized everybody is. I mean, it's for me, it's mind-boggling. It really is. Absolutely mind-boggling.
Well, I've often said, L.A., you and I both live in Los Angeles, and much of the audience that has not been here, they don't understand our traffic issues here. It's the most insane thing ever that you could experience. Yep. And I've said this, and I've been quoted, and I'm fine with that. That if that mile-wide craft that you're talking about, L.A., landed on the 405 at Santa Monica Boulevard, right, at 5 o'clock in the evening during rush hour traffic, we would have about 10 minutes of panic. 15 minutes later, the car horns are going to be blaring, and they're going to be saying, get this piece of crap off of the freeway. I think...
It's exactly true, and Dr. Roger Lear echoed that almost verbatim. That's exactly. That's the real deal.
And do you think, man, I don't want to be so cavalier because I'm so happy about, what's gone down this weekend, but I am more than shocked that there isn't a little bit more panic or happiness or volume. It's not out there. You're absolutely right. It seems a little bit lackadaisical, and I don't have the answers for that.
Well, I mean, the American public has basically been anesthetized for the most part. I mean, what is it, The Last Jedi or whatever silly Star Wars thing is going on? I mean, it's like what's real and what's fiction. We've had decades of Star Trek and Star Wars and every film on the planet. It's like people have trouble distinguishing reality from fiction. I mean, the two are just sort of amalgamized together. And so people, okay, well, Area 51, yeah. Wasn't it on the X-Files? See where I'm going with this?
Yes, I do.
I mean, it's like...
And they have no problem spending money to fund that entertainment and that genre.
And
it takes a good deal of money to do what LA does, to do what, all of these folks, Richard Dolan, all of these folks out here, Linda Moulton, Howe, Jimmy, it takes a great deal of money to do what we do. And, a lot of us get ridiculed for it. But yet people will go out and blow all kinds of money to see Star Wars or Star Trek or, all of the science fiction stuff. They spend money on posters and shirts and, and all of this swag and everything. And, for me, it's just it's a never ending. I think that what the point Linda brought up earlier about it being what did she call it? That Bigelow said, a juvenile taboo. Oh. That right there, it's not the money. It's that ridicule factor that is just played out, and it has to go away.
LA, let me ask you this, because I was pretty shocked when you watched the two FA-18 Hornet videos. You've been watching videos and been looking at evidence for decades. You've been looking at all of this. And then you see something like this, which has provenance, that is authorized by the Pentagon and released right off of the coast right here in Southern California, right, in San Diego. Yeah. What did you think when you first saw that footage?
I had a guy that gave me footage a couple of years back, smuggled it to me, and it was almost exactly, well, not exactly, but very, very close to what has come on the record in the last couple of days. This guy smuggled it out, and it was the same type of thing. These guys were in, an F-16 or whatever, and this guy locked in on a bogey, on a UFO. And he tracks this thing for 5, 6, 7 minutes, something like that. And this thing's moving really quickly, but he's got it locked on. It's almost, it's very, very, it's the same thing. They've got the cameras and the whole deal. It's very, very similar to what was just released. And I know it's a separate incident because this is a completely different video than what I saw several years back. Look, they know they're in cahoots. There is a shadow government. It's amazing how for the last 30 years, those of us who track all this have been calling the shadow government, the shadow government, the shadow government. Now all of a sudden the media calls it the deep state, and that's okay. And everybody goes, oh yeah, the deep state. Oh yeah, the deep state. Well, the deep state and the flipping shadow government are one and the same. Hello.
Right.
And that, the deep state, the shadow government, has been in control of this country since JFK. And that was the last real president we had. Tonight on the History Channel, and it's an ongoing series, with all the document dumps in the last couple of months. You want to talk conspiracy? I just watched this hour program on the History Channel, and it was so compelling, and the evidence was so damning. It's obviously a cover-up from the highest echelons of our government, including J. Edgar Hoover. It's written in the documents, and they revealed it tonight. It was just an unbelievable 1 hour. So you got to, it's like all this is happening within hours of each other. And you got to scratch your head and go, what's going on? Look, I had a theory. I'll tell you what my theory was, that when the War of the Worlds happened, and what's his face, Orson Welles got up and did this fake radio broadcast decades ago. What was it, the 30s?
38.
There was mass panic. Some people actually committed suicide. So the government looks at that and goes, oh my gosh, this is visceral. This is a pandemic. We have to put the kibosh on this thing. We've got to control it. And so Roswell happens, and they put the kibosh on it. They put the lid on it. They run a whole disinfo campaign for decades. That's the old guard. That's the old guard. And you know what? Most of the old guard is dead. Most of the old guard is dead. They've died off. And so what I think's happening is they've switched. and they go, look, we've got to spill the beans. Leak it out slowly. Let's see what the reaction is. And folks, this, you guys know this has been going on. I blogged about it incessantly. Soft disclosure. Fox News did a piece, a year ago. No, not even a year ago. It was this year. And they were going, UFO sightings are at an all-time high. And they had all these statistics and numbers, and they showed some corny graphics and everything else. But it was on Fox News. It was there on Fox flipping news, and that's soft disclosure. And you go back a year ago, and it's kind of the goofy soft disclosure, where, Gretchen Carlson is hamming it up with Trace Gallagher on Fox again. Well, tell us about those little green men, and and they're all yucking it up. And then he gives the data, and the data is true. And, Gretchen and they're reading off a teleprompter, and they're told how to act. They're told what to do. And I don't know her, but I've watched her enough to know when she's posing. And she's posing. The whole thing's an act. But what they're doing is they're releasing information to see what it does. And it doesn't cause a ripple. No one cares. Nobody cares. And this is why the announcement over the weekend, you're right. We care. You're happy. I'm alarmed. But okay, those are two, good emotions, I suppose.
Right.
But the bottom line is, the phones aren't ringing and nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's just mind-boggling.
I told Race in the audience in the last break, LA, I spoke to Tom DeLonge yesterday at length. And, I'm just like, okay, so how you feeling? And it's exciting. And he said, man, I'm worn out, but I'm just glad to finally get this out here. It was a lot of work, but we got it done. But Jimmy, you wait for what's happening next, the next round. And that kind of freaked me out a little bit because this was that was a pretty good wallop, for everybody over the weekend. For you, what's it going to take to up this, to continue the push in mainstream, that it doesn't get lost in the 24-hour news cycle? How do we elevate this? What do you expect next?
I think it's going to be more of the same. I think that maybe they'll backpedal to Roswell, which would be incredible if they actually did that. If they backpedal to Roswell and say Roswell was a real event, then that opens up a huge can of worms. That would be interesting to see if they, if they tip their hand. We all know this, but when the 50th anniversary came, they, Roswell, case closed. And, and I blogged about this today, Stanton Friedman goes, well, crash test dummies, that makes a lot of sense, except that crash test dummies weren't used until 1952. Mm-hmm. So unless the military has a time machine, it ain't happening. And that just blew the whole book right out of the water.
Right.
I just love that. Friedman just absolutely nailed them. So it'd be interesting to see if they backpedal to Roswell, because that's been, you got Jesse Marcel Sr., Jesse Marcel Jr. I interviewed Jesse Marcel Jr., and it was a written interview. And, he stated emphatically on the record that when his father came home, he had a box, and in that box was wreckage that was not of this world. And then we interviewed in my film, in their own words, these caretakers, Jim and Carolyn Rankin, who actually took care of Colonel Hill. Colonel Hill was OSS. He was, top secret clearance. And according to Hill, when the Roswell crash happened, he was dispatched from Dallas-Fort Worth to Roswell, where he tried to communicate with one of the aliens, but was still apparently alive. And he goes on the record, or Carolyn and Jim go on the record, and Jim looks right at the camera and said, the testimony we are giving is true. A month later, after he sort of spilled the beans, he died. Colonel Hill passed away. So it's like a deathbed confession. He said the wreckage was carted up and sent to Wright Pat, which all of us kind of figured. This can go a lot of different ways. They could, for instance, interesting with the pilot, right, with the craft, which we released over the weekend. Well, what if they released real photographs of the Roswell crash?
Yeah, right.
That now it's like that ups the ante, because now it's like, okay, it can go in so many directions. How many how much time do we have? You know what I'm saying?
What about that?
So many directions.
LA, that footage that you have, why not release that or send it to me and I'll put it in the right hands? Why not release that footage? Do you think it would help the cause?
I will go back in my records. I know I have it. I've got to search for it. I've shown it before on a PowerPoint presentation, but I mean, it's very similar to the Navy thing. This guy's in a jet and he's chasing this thing, and I mean, you can see it. It's obvious. It's right there. And again, the footage was smuggled out and given to me by an anonymous guy. I couldn't tell you who gave it to me. No idea. It was just, someone handed this thing to me and they vanished, and that was it. I didn't remember what the person looks like.
I would love to see it. L.A., before I let you go, again, thank you for, helping make this a very special night, and your friendship means a lot, and you know that I mean that, but thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on, and congratulations on your show again.
What's up next for you? You got a new film coming out?
Oh, my gosh, we're working on Fatima 2. We've got a smoking gun. And February 2nd, we are presenting our DNA evidence at a formal press conference in Los Angeles. The DNA evidence is on the Paracas skulls. We'll have about 8 or 9 people will be presenting, including Chase Klotsky. We'll be presenting evidence, and we think it's mind-boggling what we got. Absolutely mind-boggling.
It makes me nervous when you say something like that, L.A., because I know it's going to be big. I just know it. Thank you so much, my friend. Be safe and be well. And if you need anything from us, you know what to do. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. God bless. Take care.
Right back at you. L.A. Marzulli, everybody. Race, what do you think about that? Some DNA evidence, skulls, Chase Klotsky, L.A. Marzulli. That's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this has been something that, of course, everybody knows that Chase and I are as close as peanut butter and jelly. And, and I call her my sister, and I've been sort of, right by her side all along this ride from her very first trip to South America, and then her trips with L.A. down there to examine these skulls and mummies and unwrap mummies and take these samples. And, no one does this forensic better than Chase Klotsky. She sort of emerged as the preeminent CSI UFO investigator. And so I've kind of heard from behind the scenes how all this is going, and well expected this to be coming soon. And I was really hoping that the press conference was going to be held in Dallas, but it's going to be held out there with you in LA. So you're going to have to be there and give us some real time exposure to this major announcement that's coming.
Man, I can't wait. What's the date on this?
It's February. He just gave it in February 2nd, I think. I'm not sure.
And what about Brian Forrester? Is he going to be here for that?
I don't know if he is or not. I listen to Chase Klotsky and L.A. Marzulli, and that's about as far as I go on that.
Right.
I don't know Brian. I don't know Brian very much or follow him that much, but I do know that, Chase was she was the investigator on hand, her, Joe Taylor, and a few others that were there when they unwrapped this mummy, and they took these samples, and they did it all in a very controlled environment, and it was all done officially through the government and everything else. So there's no, hokum sort of that's been going around about these mummies that everybody's talking about. It's not, this is done the right way. So what we are about to learn one way or the other is going to be of the most credible value. So I'm really looking forward to it.
This is pretty incredible because the Nazca mummy, what a great time for ufology, man, is that the Nazca mummy DNA is about to get released in about a week to 10 days. Jay Weidner was just on the show. And wouldn't it be interesting if they have the same DNA results? And that's it. This kind of confirmation coming from multiple sources is the best thing for me. That's what makes me happy. I like shutting people up.
It's really exciting, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I got to hey, Race, you're the head of the network, man. I got to take a break.
Pay these bills, my man.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Race Hobbs, Jimmy Church, the 4th anniversary special of Fade to Black. We'll be right back. Stay right there.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheTea.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheTea.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Our 4th anniversary special. Now, this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to open up the phone lines to the Fadernauts, 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. Ready, set, go. Okay? This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by New Manna. Emergency food storage for you and your family. 25-year shelf life. No MSG, GMO free, made in America, and every order over $100 gets a Fade to Black t-shirt autographed by yours truly. Maybe I'll even have a Race sign it for you. The promo code is Jimmy. There you go. Go to the banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. All right, let's see. Race, you ready to start banging some calls?
Oh, absolutely.
It'll be like the old days at FM radio. Okay, opening up the phone lines. Caller number 40.
We can give away some KGRA T-shirts, too. So if you want to give away some Fade to Black ones, we'll give away some. We'll match shirt for shirt with you.
Man, I want a KGRA shirt. You got a Fade to Black shirt. Where's my KGRA shirt?
You got it. We just got a new shipment of the limited edition KGRA shirts, the black with the front and the back, and be glad to well, of course, I'm going to send you some out. We'll be glad to give some of the callers a shirt tonight.
All right, there you go. Man, I love calling you out. That was cool. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy.
Yes.
This is Frankie Four Fingers. How you doing?
Frankie Four Fingers. How are you, man?
Doing good, doing good. Hey, I want to wish you and Rita and the Fade to Black crew for your happy 4th anniversary.
Guess who just walked in to the studio? To the bunker. Rita. She just got in from New York.
How you doing, Rita?
Well, she walked back out. She knew. Okay. Yeah, she came in, gave me a hug, gave me a kiss, and she knew that the clock is running down, that I would get her on the air, and so she bailed. But she's here. She's safe. She's here with Deanna, and she just got in from New York. Man, 7 days. Anyway, I haven't in 20 years. Rita and I was thinking about this today. Rita and I have probably spent maybe 10 days apart in 20 years. I mean, we have been together every single day, and she was gone for 7 days, man. It was killing me. But she's back. Rita's back, and she's safe and sound. And Frankie, thank you, man. And it really means a lot. Give my best to Susie and the rest of the family, and thank you.
Will do, and it's great that she's back safe and sound, and hopefully many more years to come for your show and yourself and Rita.
And before I let you go, you got to say hi to Race Hobbs. He's right here. Say hi, Race.
Hey, Ray, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, brother.
Frankie Four Fingers. Thank you so much, Frankie.
Awesome. You too, and you have a great night, and happy holidays, and Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
And go Beckley Teppy. Thank you so much, Frankie.
You're welcome, sir. Have a good night.
I'll talk to you. That's John Esch, everybody, known as Frankie Four Fingers because he has 4 fingers. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is Nathan in Ohio.
Hey, Nathan in Ohio. Say hi to Race Hobbs.
Hi, Race Hobbs.
Hey, Nathan. Merry Christmas, brother.
Merry Christmas to both of you, and congratulations, Jimmy, on your 4 years. And episode 775 ends on a good number.
Yeah, I know. It is. That was kind of the luck of the draw. It didn't get to 777, but, but yeah. I'm cool with 775.
But a point I wanted to make was really... when this story broke, I went to my mother, and I was talking to my mom about it, and I was like, the government admitted they were investigating UFOs, and they released a legit video that they say is legit, and she was like, she basically shrugged her shoulders and was like, well, the problem is the people who don't believe are going to continue not to believe. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to continue much longer, Mom.
Yeah. And Nathan, how do you with all of this exciting news, and it's exciting for everybody out there that has been talking about this as abductees or witnesses or contactees, and they talk to their family or friends or their boss at work, and you get that look. But today, you don't have to worry about that, do you?
No.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what you should do, man. Hold your head up high, be happy, ride this out, and it's going to get better day to day now. I don't think mass media is going to let this go. Thank you so much, Nathan, and we'll see you tomorrow night on the show.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan. Let's just stay with this race. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Jimmy, this is Kat. How are you?
Hey, Kat. Oh, my goodness. How
hey,
you
Ray.
Hey, Sugar, the legend.
Yeah, she is a legend. She is a legend. I'll never forget. She goes, Jimmy. She posts this picture. Look who I'm hanging out with. Corrosion of conformity. And I'm like, man, that was, you know.
You've got plenty in your arsenal. All you want to hear is Mr.
I used to, that album, the one with Clean My Wounds. What's that album called?
I don't know. That was No Pepper from Down. Really? I was just there today.
Well, that I used to rock that album in my car. I made sure, you know, when you pull up into a parking lot and somebody pulls up and they're playing really, really loud rap music and it just annoys you and you're like, man, who is this dude in this car? Doesn't he have any respect? Well, I was that guy with Corrosion of Conformity. I was out there.
I was that guy, that girl with Pantera, though, down in Fort Walton Beach. I know exactly what you mean.
I love it. Kat, thank you so much for making this a very special night. Just thank you for calling in.
Yeah, happy anniversary. I miss Race. They're not that far from me. I got to get my butt up there. Surgery went good. I'm going back to work in a week. But I do want to tell you that I went in there to my 14-year-old Caden, who was 10 whenever I started listening to you. And I went in there. He's playing a video game. I said, hey, did you see the footage that the Pentagon, he stopped me before I could finish. He cut his eyes at me. I don't have to see the video, Mom. I know it's real. That is word for word what I said. I had to share that.
Yeah, thank you, Kat. And for you, Kat had surgery within the last, it was like a week ago, right?
No, it feels like it.
Okay.
But it was November 13th. Yeah, I talked to Shaw that night.
Okay, so, it's been a month already. Okay, so there you go. But she's in the hospital listening to Fade to Black, tweeting, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
She's a soldier,
I talked to
man.
Rita on the
She's
phone
solid.
the next day, too, and I was so drugged up, I barely remember.
Yeah, she told me about it. Kat, thank you so much. And, the Fadernauts are freaking out right now. Thank you.
Love all you guys. Fadernauts rock.
Thank you, Kat. Be safe and be well.
Bye.
Be safe and be
Merry
well.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Sugar.
I'll tell you. So this is it was a few years ago, and Kat's a singer. She's a great singer, metal singer, and she posted a video of her band playing, and I'm like, so anyway, wearing the Fade to Black shirt on stage. And I'm like,
all custom modified.
Yeah. She took the razor blades to it, but it was, and I was like, man, and it was awesome. Just awesome. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Jimmy, Casper Parks. Can you hear me all right?
Hey, Casper, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. I want to make 2 quick points here real quick about everything that's going on. Point one is something a lot of people have brought up. The talking heads, the senator, the guy that ran the program, the pilot, and so on. They talk about national security and violating our controlled airspace. That's point one. Point two, and this will take me just a little bit longer, is in the Gene Roddenberry Star Trek series and the spinoffs, there was the non-interference because of contamination.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Orville, okay, the stuff from Farland, they're carrying that same thing on. And we've had at least 3 episodes in the first season that dealt with contacting an early race. And in one of the final episodes, there was a world in the Bronze Age that was contaminated for alien contact.
Yep.
Ended up having this whole religion, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then how the Orville dealt with that. And that was a whole issue that was dealt with. So this is a theme that keeps popping back up, is the alien contamination and possible interference. And, what I'm waiting to see happen is if down the road, people start pointing out and saying this religion or that religion is a result of alien contamination and or alien contamination and interference. And you look at, the war that's going to, the brief war that we have coming up, somewhere between June and August in the Middle East. I'd say there's an 80% chance of it. And, you know, if something happens at that point, you know, if people don't start stepping, some people step forward and point the finger and say, hey, you know what, you know, this is a result of alien contamination, and to see how people on Earth here deal with that. That's going to be something to really kind of watch, and just to see kind of the maneuvers going on. It's almost like they're egging something to happen over in the Middle East. Plus, you got this coming on, and they're saying controlled airspace. It's like they're drawing a line in the sand. You know, that, you know, doing what they did might not just be a message to everybody here on Earth, but it might be a message to the aliens saying, hey, knock it off. And since this has occurred, and with the next big rollout, will the alien abductions come to a stop?
Well, you just gave us the synopsis for your next book. If you think about it,
coming from darkness, but yeah.
Now, and this is the other thing, and thank you, Casper, for calling in. But what about this alien interference? What about Jesus?
I think that might have been an intervention attempt, because, you know, a lot of these religions, you know, not all of them, some of them, you know, that they taught an emotional balance. And, you know, in the real teachings of Christ, when we look at the core of it,
right,
it's an emotional balance. And I'm of the mindset, you know, we have our 5 basic senses, and I'm of the mindset that our 6th sense is our emotional balance. Now, I'm not discrediting the psychic stuff and all that other thing, but I think we need to take that category and move it to our 7th sense, and we need to refer to our emotional balance as our 6th sense. Because, you know, we look at everything going on in Washington and around the world with greed, lust for money and power and everything. That's an emotional imbalance. And a lot of various religions, and some of them were really good. They taught an emotional balance. And but then you got some of these that are way out in left field that are going in, blowing up each other's religious sanctuaries, you know, killing people that are gay, you know, and so on and so forth. So, you know, we got this real extremism. And a lot of these churches, and they've been doing this now for 20 years or more, have been saying, well, yeah, the aliens are actually demons. Well, and it could be one and the same, let's be honest. But, you know, well, you can call them demons, we'll call them aliens, it's still the same. But, you know, so a lot of them have already laid out the groundwork in some of these various religions, you know, the extreme Christianity and some of the extreme Muslim faiths where, you know, the aliens are coming, the demons are coming, they're going to pose as aliens. You know, they're throwing that narrative's been thrown out there for at least 20, 30 years already. You know, from that group, they're really like almost preparing for it. And let's remember that the Pope that we have now, after the other one retired, which never happens, you know, he's considered a scientist, you know, in some circles. So it's almost like the church has been preparing for this. And it's going to be interesting to see how this rolls out with, you know, the various religions and everything else. But this could get...
Yeah, I know.
People I talk to.
Well, Casper, you're exactly right. I've got a weird echo coming in. So let me just say thank you for calling in and have a great night. There's just a weird echo there. But Casper raises the point that we've been talking about all night tonight, Race, which is where's religion in all of this? You know,
I think religion is on dicey waters. You know, I think L.A. Marzulli, you know, what is really amazing. Tonight we have had, now, first of all, I want to apologize for Grant Cameron. He couldn't get through during the program and got stuck on another interview at International. So he's actually stuck on another radio show, but sends his appreciation and congratulations on 4 years for you. But with that said, the different perspectives we've had tonight and the different angles, and with LA, you know, very honest and very direct about, you know, the lack of anything coming out of the, you know, and so, you know, with that said, I just think that the church has a very fine line that it has to walk with this, because I think that what the Bible is, you know, let me put it like this. I think the Bible is filled with the truths about the UFO subject, about the alien visitation and extraterrestrial presence. And I think that they know it, and they actually have evidence of it and have had for thousands of years. And I think that, you know, trying to define divinity and, and hard science is a real fine line they've got to walk. So I think they're all too happy to just stand on the sidelines in silence for the most part until something is done one way or the other.
Well, I've said it so many times, Race. Wouldn't it just be funny that ship lands on the White House lawn that everybody wants, right? And the ramp, the stairs, right? And we're there, and off steps Jesus. What's up? What's up?
Well,
hold on. Let's go to Australia. Mark, you're up next. Hey, man, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Jimmy. How you going? How you going, Race?
Doing well, Mark. It's good to hear your voice, brother.
Yeah, I'd just like to say congratulations, Jimmy, for the 4 years. It's been a fun time. You and your reader, of course. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mark. And just for Race, just say shrimp on the Barbie, please. Just do it once.
Shrimp on the Barbie?
See, man, I can never get enough of that. Is that racist? Am I being because I enjoy that so much and it just makes me hungry? And I don't know, man. Mark, you're the best. Are you on your? Mark is always listening. This is funny, Race. He's always listening like when he's on a train. Are you on a train right now, Mark?
Mate, I'm in the backseat of a Jeep at the moment.
See?
I was on a train.
See, he's always mobile. He's always mobile.
Move.
Mark,
and by the way, Jimmy, we call them prawns down here, not shrimps, okay?
Is that what you guys do? Does anybody in Australia say prawns on the Barbie? You don't, do you?
No, but we do cook prawns on the Barbie.
Mark, thank you so much. And we're at the end of the show, so I just want your reaction really quick. I've been watching some of your tweets. You're a little bit you're not quite as excited as everybody else, but do you think that this is some form of disclosure going down?
I do think it is. The only reason I'm not excited is because obviously it's early days still, and we've had so many disappointments over the years. But yeah, hopefully this is going to lead to good things, Jimmy. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much, Mark, for being a friend and a Fadernauts, and what you have done. Let me tell you, this is no joke. Australia is now, I forget, I checked the numbers earlier today, 12% of our listenership, and we have a large audience out there. 12% now is coming out of Australia.
Wow.
And I can't explain it, and it's growing too. I thought it would come and it would go, but no, it's just stayed right there. And we just I love our Australian audience and New Zealand and everybody that is out there. Just thank you so much, and that's it. Just thank you. We love Australia. Thank you so much.
No worries, mate. Yeah, we've had some very good cases down here. So, yeah, obviously they're visiting everybody. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, mate. Thanks for taking my call. Thanks, Race.
Thank you, Mark. He brings up – this is Race, and I'm very serious about this. It's kind of funny we're ending on an Australian note here. Mm-hmm. But we always we'll talk about Malmstrom Air Force Base or Rendlesham or Roswell or just pick the famous Travis Walton, Betty and Barney Hill. We talk about those cases, but Westall in Australia, in Melbourne, is one of the most insane, craziest, verifiable, vetted, real event ever on planet Earth.
Absolutely. Absolutely one of the grand cases of all times of ufology.
It is and
they've had many of them.
They've had many. What was the, you remember the airplane, the kid that took off and saw the UFO and never came back, right? Never came back. I forget the name of, but the Westall documentary that is out there, for anybody that hasn't seen it, watch that documentary. And we're talking about adults recounting the events when they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old at the school, Westall Elementary, and to hear their accounting and recounting of that event that day, it's an incredible case. I think James Fox is finishing up a movie on that.
Yeah, he's doing the final touches on a new documentary that's coming out. He's working with Lee Spiegel actively right now. I talked with Lee just a few days ago, in fact, at the level of work and ongoing work. They pretty much wrapped filming a couple of weeks ago, about maybe a month ago. And so now it's all going to script and writing and everything in the final development for all of that. But as information continues to unfold, more and more, I think, keeps getting added to it. So I'm very excited to see what old buddy Fox is going to come out with next.
One more quick phone call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Well, you got 60 seconds. Who's calling?
Oh, wow. I got in, huh?
Oh, no. Gene Vito, the great. Thank you for calling in, Gene.
I'm speaking to the captain of conspiracy. And I want to wish everybody, Jimmy Church, Rita, Camerion, and Race Hobbs, and all the Fadernauts a happy, very happy, joyous 4th anniversary.
Thank you so much, Gene. And look, I don't need to say this, but I am going to. Be safe, be well, and behave.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't live on those terms.
Gene, thank you so much, man. And happy holidays to you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and blessings to everyone within the range of my voice, near and far.
Gene Vito. Thank you so much, Gene. And, man, we lost him here at the end. But, man, does he have a set of pipes or what?
That's the captain of conspiracy.
Man, he is the best. He is the best.
Pony.
So, Race, we've got about 60 seconds here. So thank you for you haven't sat in the chair for 3 hours for a long time. But thank you for doing that. And give my best to Robin. What is next for KGRA?
Man, we are going to take a rest for the next couple of weeks. The shows, a lot of them are going into read feed for the holidays. And then, everything for 2018 is on deck, ready to roll out. We've got new shows coming. I'm going to be, you keep listening for that. We've got some major announcements coming up here in just about another week. And so we've got new programming coming to the KGRA, some new features coming to the KGRA website, and then KGRA TV is going to roll out in 2018. So it's exciting times. And before we go, on behalf of me and Robin, and thank you so much for allowing me to come on and hang out with you and the awesome Fadernauts tonight, and to want to wish a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year to all of the listeners of Fade to Black. It has been a wonderful 4 years in the black with you, Jimmy Church, and I love you eternally, brother, and thank you so much.
We love you right back, Race, and give my best to Robin. And I'm just going to say happy holidays. And with that, I'm actually going to cue the music on time. Can you believe it? I did it. I pulled it off. We got this one done, Race.
Amazing.
4 years. Thank you so much, Race Hobbs, everybody. And that will wrap our 4th anniversary special. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show's produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. The names are too long to list. John Burroughs, Linda Moulton Howe, L.A. Marzulli, and anybody that I forgot, thank you for making... I can't forget Richard Dolan and of course, Jay Weidner. Thank you to Race Hobbs for sitting this out tonight. Thank you to my lovely wife, who just got back from New York, and my daughter, Deanna. Now I get to wrap, go eat some food, and go hang out with my family. This broadcast is only copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Marshall Summers. Until then, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.
Wow.